A good morning to our viewers. We are live at Ayiti TV that is empowering youth in technology, and you can follow us on all our platforms, that is Facebook, YouTube, and on our online radio, Ayiti TV, empowering youth in technology. It is still your host, Bridget and Samantha, still celebrating the 16 days of activism against all forms of discrimination and violence that the women and men are facing in Uganda and the world. Here we are celebrating day by day until we are 16 days into the activism time. Today we are here to celebrate the International Day of the People with Disabilities. We are joining the global celebrations every year on 3rd. We always celebrate the 3rd of December. We always celebrate the International Day of the People with Disabilities, whereby we recognize them and we recognize their work, what they've done. We create more awareness about the people who are disabled, and we also try our level best to make sure that their rights are achieved and attained. The people with disabilities have a very great contribution that they give to our development as a country, as a continent, as the world. So their rights need to be protected and also observed. Disability, according to me, is not inability, and I believe in possibilities. I can just say that disability is just a mindset. Yes, it doesn't mean that when you are disabled, then you are unable. No, it is just a mindset. And it takes just only one step for you to make a difference. Not all about thinking of how unable I am or how disabled I am, but what makes the difference is how am I going to stand out and prove to the world that I am able. Do not just sit back, just and do something unique that will make you be seen and approved by the whole world that you are able. Disability is just a mindset. Let me tell us a story of Nick Vonjacek. He was born without legs, not even arms, but that did not stop him. He is now doing tremendous work in the world. Yes, he was born without arms and legs, but now he is a motivational speaker who can move mountains, who can move millions. So that doesn't matter how disabled you are. You might be having the challenges. Maybe you do not have legs, you do not have arms, or you have your visual disabilities or disabilities in hearing or any other forms of disabilities. But that does not mean that you are unable. You are able. Today, as Mbarara University of Science and Technology, our theme of the day is not all disabilities are visible. Indeed, not all of them are visible, because some of us have weaknesses that sometimes we do not see as disabilities, but that should not make you think that you are unable or you are disabled. The only thing is, I repeat, make a difference. Never stop dreaming, never stop trying, and never stop doing your best. Keep fighting for your dreams, explore other opportunities, and grow with success. Disability is just a mindset. And yes, it is still Bridget and Samantha, and we are live on Ayiti platforms, all the social media platforms. And right now, we shall be hosting different people within the show. Today's show shall be having very many experts from the department. We shall be having the focal person in charge of disabilities at Mbarara University of Science and Technology. We shall be having other experts from that field. And we shall also be hosting our Dean of Students, that is none other than Mr. Chagaba Emmanuel. And right now, allow me to first call upon our only beloved Dean of Students, Mr. Chagaba, to come and talk to us and give us to share his insights and thoughts about the day. You are highly welcome, sir. You can have your seat. So you are highly welcome, and you can talk to us as we celebrate the 16 days of activism. And today we are doing this celebration in commemoration of the International Day of the People with Disabilities. You can share your thoughts, your insights about the event, so that someone out there can be inspired.
Thank you for hosting, and thank you, viewers. Mbarara University as an institution is cognizant of the fact that we are a community that has got diverse people with different levels of need. Now, celebrating the 16 days of activism is quite well within our university policies that encourages inclusiveness in all aspects of our activities, including appreciating that our communities have got different levels of needs, and we are committed to make sure that we have an enabling environment that will enable whoever is in our community, whether as a learner, whether as an employee, whether as a service provider at the level of contractual arrangements, we create an enabling environment that takes care of everybody's needs. And as we commemorate the International Day of People with Disabilities, we also appreciate that we have and come from different backgrounds, and this entails, therefore, that we create an environment, we create an atmosphere that is able to facilitate every individual in his or her own position to optimize their outputs. And this is at different levels. We have it at the level, for instance, of employment, to ensure that at the workplace, we can have facilities, we can have an environment where different individuals, different persons are able to optimize their output. At the level of admissions of our students, to make sure that there is no element of discrimination based on one's disability. At the level of participation in meaningful engagement, to make sure that we also tap into the potential of all those who are within our community, to make sure that they also participate satisfactorily, they enjoy their human rights, they get their respect, they live a dignified way of life, like any other person within the community. As a research-based institution as well, we also promote engaging into research that can give us informed choices on how best we can create an environment that benefits all members of the community. The university has a flagship of being known as a community-based institution, as a community-centered university that incorporates outreaches in all the programs around the university. So even within our policies, we also encourage outreaches to other stakeholders to share information in actually appreciating that there are various forms of challenges that different individuals face. It could be a physical disability, but like the theme of this year's commemoration indicates, not every disability is visible. Some disabilities could be to do with the pace of learning. Some disabilities could be with chronic ailments. So when we talk of disability, we are not necessarily looking at the physical element of disability. We are looking at what can enable a person holistically to participate to their best of their capabilities. And in that way, we also work with different other stakeholders by forming strategic networks, by forming collaborations, by having linkages with national and international organizations. All these will enable us as an institution, as a university, to improve continuously on the kind of environment, the kind of infrastructure that we have at our disposal in support of everybody's need. We are also cognizant of the fact that until the policy frameworks at national level were put in place, we had limited infrastructure that had full consideration of people with disabilities and other special needs. So as a matter of policy, now the requirement is we should have a campus, an environment that provides for inclusiveness, that provides an environment where everybody can be able to participate to their best. So at the level of planning our infrastructure, we ensure that we have got easy access. At the level of planning our facilities for both teaching and other routine engagement, we always have that consideration in mind. So the component of mainstreaming disability, mainstreaming special needs into all the aspects of the university is what we strive to achieve. And therefore, as we commemorate the International Day of People with Disabilities, we encourage members of the community, we encourage all the stakeholders to support people who might be having different levels of need so that they can be able to attain their full potential both at the level of learning, at the level of job, and at the level of participation. And it is an opportunity and a calling that we are making to everybody out there to be sensitive, cautious, and also promote the needs of those that might be having that special requirement. Once again, I thank the viewers, and we hope that we shall make this world a better place to live in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, our Dean at Mbarara University of Science and Technology. It's my privilege having hosted you here, and for the important information that you have shared. And thank you so much for giving a chance to the students in Mbarara University to take up different opportunities, to get engaged in different opportunities. There is nothing like discrimination at MUST,
yeah.
And that is my pleasure. Thank you so much. Yeah, this year, our theme, the global theme, it involves how we are going to engage these different people into power positions, into leadership, into all aspects of development, into all aspects in the world. So it doesn't matter how disabled you are, but what matters is how different you will play your game. And now allow me to call upon Madam Kamgisha Sheila to come and give us a testimony about still the topic of the day. It is in regards to what we are celebrating today. So she can come and share with us. And then finally, we shall be able to go straight into the panel discussion. You are welcome, Madam Sheila. We can allow our Dean to leave us as he has a lot to do, but then he'll still be with us online. You are highly welcome, Sheila.
Thank you so much, Madam Bridget. Indeed, disability is a mindset, and not all disabilities are visible, according to my own testimony. I was born asthmatic, and it was really a struggle, but I never gave an eye to it. I used to keep positive, because I remember when I was still in those early ages, in my nursery, I used to be on and off. 1 week I'm at school, the other week I'm home. So that journey continued like that in that struggle. So it really disturbed me a lot, but then I kept positive. Yeah, I kept positive. I kept praying to God. I never gave it, I did not give it any negative thought. Anytime I used to believe I'll be fine. And indeed, right now as I talk, asthma disappeared, and I will tell you how I got to become very fine. So I reached primary, still the same issue. I used to struggle with asthma issues. I kept on taking my medication. I kept on, though it gave me some hard time in class, always sleepy, always fainting. When I joined secondary, there involved some other thing of stress. It came as surface dyslexia, and this happens like I lost my parents at an early stage, so I struggled like emotionally. Most of the things I used to keep them to myself. I used not to share, so it disturbed me. It compiled a lot of things in my life, but then I love being positive. So in my Form 3, it really affected me a lot to the extent my performance had to decline, but I still became positive. When I joined high in advanced level, I joined St. Mark's College, Namagoma, with that. So now I had two things, dyslexia and asthma. So it was really difficult for me to really balance that thing, that dyslexia, asthma, then with books. But because of God's grace, I had to make it until the end. I really thank Mbarara University of Science and Technology. When I reached here, I remember the first days when we were in the lecture room, I fainted, but then I never gave it an eye how people looked at me. I kept on being positive, and I had to say, oh, the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy, minus everything, like how the devil comes to distract me. I have to be positive. Then I had to be devoted. I made a personal relationship with God. In so doing, so far now, I've spent 2 years without getting any asthma attack. I had to go to the hospital I wanted to believe, is it really true? The doctor was like, yeah, now you are good to go. I can stay without any heavy clothes, or like the other time I used to have heavy clothes around me, but then now it's well, it's okay, and I've really managed the mental thing, the dyslexia thing. Now I can do everything. I really thank Mbarara University, because the environment has really favored me, and I really call upon students who are there that feel that they can't really make it. I want to encourage you. You can really make it. You can really make it. Like, you have to be positive. You keep positive. Don't look to what people are saying. Actually, for me personally, I say to myself, I have to be dead on what people say, because I saw it as something being carnal. So I had to leave the carnal realm and I be so positive to the spiritual realm. As I believe, I used to say, like, when you say, Sheila, you are sick, I'm like, no, I'm not, because by his stripes I was healed. I used to encourage myself inside, and indeed that's how I overcame, and that's how I'm managing. I really, once again, thank the management of Mbarara University and Science of Technology.
Thank you so much, Sheila. Thanks so much for sharing your story. It is interesting. Absolutely. And now, still, just a reminder, disability is just a mindset. Keep positive, and when you are positive, you will be able to run away, you'll be freed from that disability aspect. So now, allow me to welcome Ian, the panelists, to come and take over their seats as I hand over to Miss Sheila Kamgisha as Kamgisha? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, to Miss Sheila Kamgisha to take over as the moderator of the day. I remain Bridget in Cementa, Orange the World.
You're watching Youth TV, empowering you. TV, empowering you. You're watching Youth 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 TV, empowering you.
International Day for Persons with Disabilities, 3rd December 2021, though we have decided to celebrate our day on 2nd December 2021. Today's theme is not all disabilities are visible, and indeed, not all disabilities are visible. Fighting for rights in the post-COVID era. This year, we are celebrating the challenges, barriers, and opportunities for people who live with disabilities in the context of a global pandemic. Since March 2020, every person on earth has been impacted by drastic political, social, and economic change as a result of domestic and international responses to COVID-19. This year, International Day of People with Disabilities should be used to recognize that people who live with disabilities are among the most affected populations amid the COVID pandemic, where marginalization discriminates many people. The risk of poor outcomes have been magnified with the reduced access to routine health care and rehabilitation services, more pronounced social isolation, poor retailed public health messaging, inadequately constructed mental health services, and a lack of emergency preparedness for people with special needs. We call on university management and representatives, advocates, supporters, and every citizen in every community to learn from the experiences of people living with disabilities during this pandemic and push for more meaningful investments into the socio-economic building blocks, which will reduce the barriers faced by people with disabilities in every community on earth. The International Day for Persons with Disabilities, which I can call IDPD, observed annually on the 3rd of December, aims to, firstly, they are going to introduce themselves. We are going to start from Madam Dushari.
Thank you very much, Sheila. Stella Dusabe Biarugaba, in charge of special needs in Mbarara University. I sit in the Dean of Students office and I represent the staff with the disabilities on the University Council. Thank you very much for listening.
Abasa Michael. I'm a medical student at the university, and I'm among the group of the disabled.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, viewers. I'm OSJ Robert Stewart. I'm a team leader at OSJ Special Child Foundation, which is found here in Mbarara City, and I also teach at Chambogo University, Kampala. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, Madam Stella, which strategies can be devised to achieve theme of different years, of which one we have building back better toward a disability inclusive, accessible and sustainable post-COVID-19 world 2020?
Sheila, as the theme for this year, which is disability, is not all disabilities are visible. So with that, when you have an organization, it's you have to keep disability which cannot be seen, but they are hidden and people are keeping quiet with them and suffering. So when you bring out such information to them, it will help them. And in our university, we are lucky we have a policy which works on all the sorts of disability, and we have an accommodative environment where we have put ramps in place, and we try to keep in touch with our group wherever they are, and we keep open our office every time. We are open to everyone who comes in, and we register them, and we keep in touch with them, call them, and find out how they are faring. So this under this COVID-19, which is still ongoing, because the post-COVID, because it's still ongoing, we don't know when it is ending. We'll continue to work with our group that we see they are not affected very much. Thank you very much, Sheila.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Dusabe Stella. So allow me to call upon Mr. Asaba Michael to discuss on the student's perspective on the policy.
Well, I will begin by thanking the MAST community for taking a step in this journey of helping the academic world of students with disabilities to make it better. Well, they have done a lot, like awareness and conducting surveys in towards helping the community that includes these people, these persons with disabilities. Though there is still a lot to be done, because as we can see, it's the project has just begun. It is still a new project, and a lot is still to be done with accommodation and constructions. Okay, like the education facilities, buildings where we have our lectures and all that. Improvement has been done, like remodeling such buildings has been done, because ramps have been constructed and all that. But then, as the theme goes, like they read it out loud, that these persons whose disabilities are not visible. Not all people have physical disabilities, because when most people talk about disabilities, many will focus on physical kind, but then the kind of disabilities, the ones like asthma and all of those okay, like the attention these kinds of people would be receiving. So awareness has to be done. The staff in institutions now like must have to be briefed on how kinds of people now of it's difficult to a person, because food called the government is also involved in this project, but this project is limited. It's only for people in few institutions. There are these other institutions, secondary institutions, primary, where it's hard to access such a service from the government. So the government has to further go deep in societies and expand this project so that many other people can benefit from it. Now, like in this institution at MUST, we are few people who are being sponsored by a government, who receive some funding by the government, and yet there are other people who are on private and don't receive such a funding, and yet they are also in our category. They also need the assistance. So further assistance by the institutions and the government has to be provided to cater for all these other people, because not everyone can be reached when it comes to knowing okay, let me take it like this. In my former school, I was approached because I reached out to the DOS by then, and so my voice was heard. But it's not like all other institutions are very well known by the government, so as to extend such a service to these people. So still a lot has to be done when it comes to the government and funding this project. And then furthermore, all institutions have to put up facilities like health facilities, rehabilitation facilities, and accommodation facilities in order to aid these people. Because now, like in my primary school, I grew up and no one understood me. Like, they never knew how to handle me because facilities were not there, and my teachers were. It became hard for them to help me in my educational journey. But then, in a way, when I got to tell the head of the institution, my primary institution, then they they came to be aware of my situation, and facilities were modeled so as to guide me through my primary level of education. So as you can see, facilities have to be set up to aid these people, because now, like, recently we're in examination period, and a friend of mine in the same faculty got an asthma attack. And remember, we are in an examination period. She never had money to help her acquire, because her inhaler had gotten, I don't know, spoiled, or it was, I don't know how those things work, but she never had an inhaler. And there is no facility that would help her immediately. There was no emergency facility that would help her problem at that time. So as students in that course, we had to gather money so as to help this specific student to get a new inhaler. So as you can see, emergency health facilities for such people have not yet been put in place in many institutions. Well, I believe also in must. So that also has to be done. Accommodation facilities. Some students are physically impaired, like we know. Some students are mentally impaired. There are mental illnesses whereby a student is not as social as he or she is supposed to be, and can't stand the fact that people in other rooms, hostels, are making noise or what such. That life, there are students who can't handle it, and sometimes it has a negative impact on their education. So if accommodation facilities could be put in place for these specific people, so as to give them that environment where they are really comfortable, and and the facility is easily accessible to such students, it would really help these students in their education life. And conclusively, the government has to furthermore fund this project in aiding these people, as we know, because the number is great when you are to compare it with those that are under government aid. And institutions also have to take a step in setting aside a budget for these specific people, because they do exist in every institution. They do exist, but they are quiet because they don't want to seem like a hindrance to the institution, or they are just afraid to be out in the public, to be known or to be discriminated. So institutions also have to set up aside a budget in order to fund and help these students through their academic life. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abasa Michael. Thank you so much. Allow me to call upon Mr. Stuart Oyesije to help us discuss how we can create awareness about the PWDs. You are welcome, Mr. Stuart.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, our moderator. For the viewers, let me remove the mask, and then you see how I look like. But then I will put it back. Thank you so much. Awareness on people with disabilities. This is a wide topic, but I will briefly talk about what I think. In the first instance, many people don't know that disabilities exist. I put it in quotes. Many other people, another group knows that people with disabilities exist, but they shouldn't be enjoying anything around the globe. Then there is another proportion also that knows that they exist, but there's nothing they can do to support them. So you'll find when you go to the villages, in towns, you'll find people with disabilities. Government is supposed to put some systems, some structures, some programs to enable the rest of the population know about people with disabilities. But of course, you know, the budget to put the staff in some districts is not enough. So we have got different categories of people with disabilities, some of which a colleague has talked about, and one of our themes, some disabilities are not visible. So for us, we know the disabilities where you see a person limping, where you see a person bumping into things, and then you know this person is blind. Or some other person that you will call and will not turn to see you or will not hear. Then you know this person is deaf. Some others children are taken to school and they cannot progress from a class to another class. And then the parent and the teachers will begin suspecting that this child has a problem. Some others will suspect that there is a problem, and then they come to assist this child. Others will not imagine there is a problem, but they will think this child is getting stubborn, or this child is not minding so much to attend to school. Because you can imagine you have two children, you have a child and your neighbor has a child. They are taken to school from P1 to P2 to P3. Your neighbor's child is progressing well. Maybe he gets a third position and your child gets a 50th position. And there are 54 children in the classroom. So the parent doesn't mind, doesn't go deeper to ask why the child is performing the way he's performing. He will instead punish the child and say, my child is not caring, my child is not minding, he's wasting my money. And he begins caning and punishing. Some other children, like the invisible disabilities, there's a condition that we call dyslexia. She has talked about it. This child will be in class, the teacher is teaching, and when he's teaching, he gives some work to the children. For example, 6 plus 1 equals to 7. And the child writes 7 facing the other side instead of facing the normal direction. The teacher comes and beats the child. The teacher goes on the chalkboard and writes, this is 7, this is how it is written. The child still writes in a reverse way. And the child continues getting some canes. I remember when I was in primary school, we had a mathematics teacher. Whoever scored below 50 in mathematics would be given canes in relation to the numbers he has failed. I remember there are 2 children that dropped out of school because he would even abuse them, that they are stupid people, they will never manage in life. They dropped out of school. And I eventually came to realize that these children had dyscalculia. This is problems to do with numbers, calculations. So you'll find a child performing very well in other subjects, like in primary. You find the child performs very well in other subjects. But when he goes to mathematics, he gets 10 and below. Dyslexia, this is problems with reading and writing. You find the child cannot read well, cannot write well. There is also another specific difficulty called dysphonia. This is in speech. So all these are invisible. Plus, of course, there are some others where a person has some pain all over the body. You see a normal person walking, going and coming back. But when he sits, the pain is around his body. And he cannot sit and concentrate to do any work, or if he's a student, cannot perform in the classroom. So all these are disabilities. And the question was, how do we create awareness? The starting point is to have people know what disabilities are. There should be a deliberate effort to make sure that the population knows what disabilities are. And you make a list. In some countries, through legislation, they mention those disabilities. They are classified. So that when you are going for service, they will say, no, you will tell people, I have this problem, with a medical form attached, legally known. But here you will meet a person and the person will say, my child has Down syndrome. How did you know? My child has those conditions. So that is the starting point, that we create awareness so that people know that disabilities exist. And then from there, we sensitize the population. We sensitize people that are in positions of power. Somewhere, I was working in one of the districts as an inspector of schools. And a parent came with a child to school, and the headmaster looked at the way the child was walking. This child had cerebral palsy. This is where, at times, the child walks in a clumsy way. But the brain was okay. So when the headmaster saw the child at the gate and the parent, when the headmaster saw the parent and the child, the headmaster said, I cannot allow this child in my school. Other children will run away. I cannot accept this. And the parent came to our office and said, where do I take my child? Because we are now, this is the nearest school. So people in positions of power, if a university in a university like this one, top management must appreciate and accept that there are people with disabilities, there are students with disabilities. Disabilities exist. And this is something that is not invited. It comes. You are walking, you fall down, and you get a problem on your brain. You produce a child, your mother produces a child, and the child is born with Down syndrome. And this happened when the baby was in the womb as a result of chromosome aberration. There was a mismatch of chromosomes. And you cannot, as a father or a mother, you cannot tell the chromosomes that no, you have to match trisomy 21, you have to match with the other 21 so that the child is born normal. So disability comes. We have to appreciate that. So people in positions of power must appreciate, must understand that people with disabilities exist and plan accordingly. Then, of course, even up in government should, I'm happy now, they are talking of skilling program. And yesterday I was at Nyamtanga. I was very happy with the deputy principal who explained to me what it is. what it is all about. He told me, even people with disabilities now are encouraged, so that if you are able to use your hand, and the legs are not maybe there or not functioning, they will help you to use your hand, so that you get a skill that will help you in the future to manage life. Then another factor, the most important, is a person with a disability to accept and appreciate the way Shira accepted and appreciated. When we go out to sensitize the public and people with disabilities about the plight of people with disabilities, some people with disabilities don't want to be known that they have disabilities. And if it is visible, they hide. People with disabilities themselves. If he goes limping, if he sees people, he will pretend or can even stop so that people pass, so that he's not identified to be with a disability. And this is on the attitude factor on the people with disabilities themselves. Because even if structures are put in place, even if policies are put in place, even if whatever, if a person with disability himself or herself doesn't appreciate, accept who she is, who he is, these other efforts may end up in limbo. So we have also, if we have to provide some services, because hearing and getting to appreciate and getting to may take time. So guidance and counseling services can come in. Here, we guide and counsel the parent so that this child is brought up in an acceptable way. The child must be accepted at home. Some children that are not accepted at home, we may end up not accepting themselves. Because if you have a child and if he's walking in a clumsy way and he falls down, then you abuse. Yeah, look at this one. So the child knows, oh, I'm also not wanted. I know of children that committed suicide. There's a parent, when the child asked, when the child told the parent that I will be going to school next Monday, prepare my school fees, because he was be taken to a special school. The father told this child, instead of starting with these able children, then you are talking of school fees when you are just nothing, useless here. I don't even see why I should be educating you, because you may not help the family. So what the child did, the boy picked Pona, went to his room and took it and died. The boy was buried. So at home, the parents must accept and appreciate the children, so that when these children grow up, they also accept themselves and know, I have this problem, it is here to stay, but I can still manage. At the foundation where I come from, where I told you I'm a team leader at the Special Child Foundation, our motto is in Latin. It is incipiens a potentia. Let's start with the strength, the small strength that is there. If this child can use a hand to crochet, if this child can use a hand to do something, don't mind about the legs. Look at where the ability side, the strength side, so that you appreciate. For the teachers, they know reinforcement. If the child performs very well at home, anything small, appreciate, reinforce, so that tomorrow he gets the guts and the courage to do it the more. So, Madam Moderator, creating awareness on people with disabilities, mainly the people in power must appreciate and support the awareness. People with disabilities themselves must accept and appreciate themselves. Parents in their homes must support these children so that they love themselves as they go out. They also feel, even when I have a leg that doesn't work very well, I am very good at mathematics, because he was supported, he was appreciated. I'll be adding on Madam Sheila. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Stuart Oyesije, for the great message. I really appreciate. Thank you, dear viewers, for being with us, for staying with us. We love you. Let's have a short break, and we are going to be back.
You're watching a Youth TV, empowering you. You're watching a Youth TV, empowering you. You're watching a Youth TV, empowering you.
Oh, thank you, our dear viewers. We are back. We are going to give conclusion remarks, and I'm going to start with Mrs. Stella.
Thank you very much, Madam Sheila. And thank you very much, viewers, for staying with us. And welcome back. As this year's theme is not all disabilities are visible, I would conclude by saying that as an institution in Mbarara University or a government, it's upon all of us to take an initiative of reaching out to all individuals in all means, social media, radio programs, and everywhere where we can get people so that they get to know their rights, because most of the people are there quiet, they don't know they can be assisted, they don't know which can help them. Even when you put something up that they come and register, they shy away. So it's good to work with the counseling department to look at that all staff and students who have such disabilities which are not visible are reached out to. And I would request the government to add on the facilitation the money which is given to the program, which is the special where special needs fall. We need a lot of money to look into so many things, like Abasa Michael said. We are still lacking somewhere. However, we thank the government, Mbarara University, the whole world, for appreciating that the disability are there and need to be assisted, work with, and be appreciated. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Madam Stella. Allow me to call upon Mr. Abasa to give his conclusion remarks.
I thank you all viewers for the support and for tuning in. So I would conclude by saying that all those that have difficulties in their academic life, in their social life, in their economic life, these disabilities were not brought about because of you. So it's upon you to come up and tell your close friends, tell those who can aid you in your path, in the various fields that you are involved in, let it be academics, your social life, your economic life, so that life can be made better. So it's upon you to come up and tell those close to you and those who can be able to help you so as to lead a better life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abasa, for the conclusion remarks. Let me call upon Mr. Stewart to give his conclusion remarks.
Thank you, moderator. I want to thank Mbarara University because they are doing right. What the Dean of Students mentioned, I watched him when I was coming here because he talked before we came in, and what he's saying, for sure, they are trying their best, and I encourage everybody in mass community to make sure that they support administration to support people with disabilities. People out there, COVID is still on. Let us support people with disabilities. Because the soaps that we hear or that we know, a deaf person follows talk from the lips because there is sign language which is complemented by the lip reading. When you have a mask, a deaf person will not follow what you are trying to communicate. Then we talk of social distance. A person who is blind has to be held and guided. And we are talking of social distance, meaning if you come closer, you are against the soaps. People with a profound intellectual impairment, those ones need 24-hour support. And you have to lift, to move this person from here to there, and many others. Let us try to help these people so that they also live amidst COVID. I come from, I'm a team leader at the Special Child Foundation, and our foundation is running an autism program. So parents that have children with autism, we are supporting those children. Madam Moderator, I thank you. I thank the mass community for inviting me, and I wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much, Mr. Stewart. Thank you so much, my colleagues, once again. And thank you so much, dear viewers. We really love you so much. And I continue saying, not all disabilities are visible. And disability, indeed, it's a mindset. You have to be positive. Thank you all for being with us. I wish you a Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.
You're watching a HTV, empowering you.